Imagine being an adult in the 21st century and still believing humanity once survived on a giant wooden boat packed with every species on Earth. If that sounds like history to you, well then I guess Noah really did convince lions to go vegan for a year, huh? Meet Lucky Jr.,
Greetings, seekers.
the guy who's here to remind you that using your brain won't hurt.
Don't take the Bible literally.
We'll explore this flood story in a literal and symbolic way. First, we begin with the literal. Now let's talk food. 2 giraffes eat about 75 pounds of fresh leaves a day. Not any random leaf. They want acacia. So, unless Noah turned the ark into a floating safari buffet, those giraffes are dead before week 1. And koalas? They're eucalyptus junkies. No eucalyptus, no koalas. Pandas? Only fresh bamboo every single day. Where's Noah planting a bamboo forest inside a wooden boat? That is just 2 examples. We are talking about thousands of herbivores.
Don't take the Bible literally.
Let's move to predators. 2 lions, 2 antelopes. And by the very first night, well, the lions had themselves a midnight snack. Congratulations, Noah. You just made antelopes extinct forever. Now you've got hungry crocodiles and tigers also wanting to make zebras and goats extinct. Remember, we haven't talked about bears, cheetahs, jaguars, wolves, snakes, etc. What did they eat? And not just for a day or week, for a whole year.
Don't take the Bible literally.
What about insects? Oh, we're not skipping that. A bat eats 1,000 insects an hour. Multiply that by a year, and Noah has to store billions of bugs in little Tupperware containers. Imagine explaining that to your wife. Honey, don't open that jar. That's our bat food for December.
Don't take the Bible literally.
And then there's the water problem. The ark was sealed shut for over a year. So what exactly did they drink? Enough water to quench every creature for a single day would have sunk the ark, and they were in there for more than 300 days. Quite the paradox. Drowning if you don't have it, sinking if you do.
Don't take the Bible literally.
Then comes the waste problem. A cow drops over 65 pounds of dung a day, and that's just one species. Multiply that by thousands of animals, and suddenly the ark isn't a holy vessel. It's a floating mountain of hot shit. 1 door, 1 window, both shut. What a brilliant idea, Noah. You just build a holy floating septic tank. Holy shit.
Don't take the Bible literally.
Ventilation? None. Lighting? None. Air filters? None. You're trapped in a giant wooden coffin, in darkness with thousands of animals breathing CO2, farting methane, and peeing ammonia. Talk about creating a floating bomb. But wait, how did the animals even get there? Did sloths crawl all the way from South America? Snakes slither from jungles in Asia, penguins march across deserts, and then after the flood they magically trek back home through wastelands with no food or ecosystems left. The kangaroo is like, cool trip, now I'll hop 7,000 miles back to Australia, where absolutely nothing is alive.
Don't take the Bible literally.
We can go on and on. We haven't even talked about how the stored food stayed fresh for a year. I think y'all get the point. Taken literally, Noah's Ark isn't divine salvation. It's the world's first floating biohazard. A coffin stuffed with chaos. Forget Ark of Safety. This thing would have sunk faster than your New Year's resolutions by February. Here's the final blow. There's 0 geological evidence for a global flood. None. No sediment layers matching, no mass extinction event lining up, no worldwide water damage in the fossil record. I'm sorry guys, the flood didn't happen. Not literally.
Don't take the Bible.
Okay, Lucky Jr., I think they get it now. Right, guys? Now here is the thing. Flood myths echo across civilizations. Sumeria, Mesopotamia, India, Greece, and finally the Bible. If we read them all literally, then the ancient world wasn't living on land. It was living in a fish tank. And the truth is, I know most of you don't know this, Noah wasn't the first flood hero. In fact, the Bible borrowed this story. Long before him came Manu in India, Deucalion in Greece, Utnapishtim in Gilgamesh, Atrahasis, and even earlier in the Eridu Genesis. Different names, same script, a righteous man, a chosen family, a divine warning, a flood, and a boat. When every culture keeps recycling the same flood story, it's not because the world was drowning on repeat. It is because the story carries a very deep and hidden meaning, and I am going to show you. So let's be clear, this was never meant to be taken literally. It's not a historical weather report, it's an allegory. This is all about you and what you ought to do, and once you read it this way, the text suddenly lights up with meaning. And if this arc has stirred your curiosity, subscribe and ride the waves of discovery with me. Let's start with Genesis 6:5. And God saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. Man here is code for our lower nature, the ego, the endless cravings, the unrestrained illusions we chase. The earth represents the inner ground where thoughts, desires, and actions take root and bear fruit. Put simply, it's when the ego's driving and your higher self is stuck in the back seat. Next, Genesis 6:6. And the Lord was sorry that he had made man on the earth, and he was grieved in his heart. A perfect God would only regret if you take the Bible literally.
For God's sake, don't take it literally.
Now, God doesn't regret like we do. This is symbolic. It's the higher self recognizing imbalance, the divine spark in you realizing, yo, this can't go on. Time for some change. That grief in God's heart, that's the tug of war inside you, your higher self aching to pull you out of a dark pit. Then comes Genesis 6:7, the destruction of man, beast, creeping thing, and birds. Brutal imagery, but symbolically it's genius. Like we said, man represents the ego. Beast points to primal urges. Creeping things are the subconscious fears. Birds symbolize scattered thoughts and spiraling minds. All of it gets wiped out. That's putrefaction in alchemy. The old self dissolves so a new one can rise. Death of the false self makes room for rebirth. Then comes the hope shot. Genesis 6:8. Noah found grace. Noah isn't just some old guy with boat plans. Noah is the pure self, the uncorrupted seed within you. He's the divine spark, the part of your inner self that stays untouched by corruption. Grace represents divine guidance, the inner GPS that whispers the way out of darkness. Genesis 6:10 then drops Noah's 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Symbolically, Shem is your spirit, divine identity. Ham is the body, the restless fire of appetite and desire. Japheth is the mind, forever trying to choose which world to serve. In the ark, spirit, mind, and body move as one, teaching us that true salvation is not escape, but integration, where every part of us is carried into awakening. In esoteric terms, Noah's 3 sons represent layers of the soul, the astral, the mental, and the causal. Together, they form the solar body, your spiritual ark for ascension. Speaking of the ark, Genesis 6:14 says, "Make thee an ark." This isn't about woodwork. In Hebrew, ark means vessel. The body is a vessel of flesh, but the ark is a vessel of salvation or awakening. Spirit, mind, and body, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, can only survive the flood when they are held in harmony in the ark. The flood is that consciousness rising, the awareness that drowns illusion and reveals truth. The ark's dimensions, 300 by 50 by 30 cubits, is not a blueprint for shipbuilders. It's a divine equation. 300 is about completion. In Hebrew, it corresponds to the letter Shin, the fiery spirit, symbol of divine fire, the seal of spiritual completion. It's not about length, it's about wholeness. 50 is transformation and freedom from bondage. In Scripture, the 50th year is the year of Jubilee, a year of freedom, restoration, and renewal. Here it marks the ark as the vessel of change, the place where the old dissolves and the new is born. 30 is divine maturity, the threshold where hidden preparation meets purpose. In Scripture, 30 marks the age when prophets, priests, kings, and even Christ himself stepped into their calling. Here, it marks the ark's stature as a vessel of readiness, raised high enough to carry life into a new beginning. Then we see animals entering the ark. 7 clean, 2 unclean. On the surface, Noah's just out here collecting animals like Pokemon. 2 by 2, line them up. But symbolically, this is the law of duality. Every part of you, the light and the shadow, the noble thoughts and the messy impulses, the masculine and the feminine, all of it has to step into the ark together. Why? Because salvation doesn't come from cutting yourself in half. You don't ascend by killing the shadow, you ascend by integrating it. Transformation requires all of you crossing over. That's why the clean animals come in 7s, because they point to the 7 stages of purification, the 7 chakras, the full ladder of consciousness. In other words, you're not sneaking into the new world with just your holy side. You're bringing the whole zoo of your being, and only by balancing it do you make it through the flood. Then we see Noah sealed tight in the ark, a perfect mirror of the stillness and inner focus required to journey deep within through meditation. Then comes Genesis 7:17. For 40 days the flood kept coming on the earth. Why 40? This number has appeared several times. Moses fasting, Jesus in the wilderness, Israelites wandering. 40 represents the trial, the deep reset, the death before rebirth. It's the great rinse of ego, the divine pressure wash for the soul. Even the math preaches. In Hebrew, mem equals 40. Its symbol is water. And what does water do? It washes away illusions. It baptizes the soul. Even the dates matter. The flood begins on the 17th day of the second month. The second month, that's the second chakra, the center of creation, life force, and water. The 17th day. In biblical symbolism, it's resurrection. Later, the ark rests on the 17th day of the 7th month. That's energy rising from the 2nd to the 7th chakra, full spiritual ascension, from survival to enlightenment. Then the waters recede and the storms calm, meaning the chaos settles. What's left? Clarity, stillness, a new earth within you. Finally, the ark rests on Mount Ararat. Ararat literally translates to sacred land. The soul has climbed from the waters of survival to the mountain of illumination. From the lower chakra to the crown chakra, the ark resting is the soul finally finding balance, resting in divine stability after trial, purification, and transformation. The story continues with Noah sending out the raven and then the dove. The raven, symbolizing the old self and ego, never returns. Darkness has no place in the reborn soul. The dove, on the other hand, the spirit, the purified essence, returns with an olive branch, a sign of peace, wisdom, and renewal. This means when the ego departs, the spirit returns with peace. Noah lifting the covering of the ark represents opening his higher vision, the opening of the third eye, the pineal gate, where spirit sees through flesh. And here's the kicker. When Jesus said, "As in the days of Noah, so shall it be at the coming of the Son of Man," he wasn't warning about a sudden end-time disaster. He was pointing to a different kind of flood. Not a flood of water, but of consciousness. And when that flood rises in you, when illusion finally drowns, what emerges is Christ consciousness itself. That's the second coming. Not outside of us, but awakened within. And just like Noah, the soul must rise, lift the veil, and see with the new eye. Only then does the rainbow appear. Only then is the covenant revealed. Genesis 9:11 leads us to this covenant, no more floods, meaning once the soul has been fully purified, there's no need for repeated upheaval. The body, mind, and spirit stabilize in divine harmony. The rainbow is a symbol of wholeness. 7 colors, 7 chakras, 7 stages of completion. One truth: the soul has become light. It's the sign of illumination. So, if you've sailed with us through the flood of meaning, drop a "not literally" in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe. Remember, a wise man once said,
Don't take the Bible literally.